Hello everyone and welcome, MovieManCHAD here with another movie review for you today. And I've got my mother because we saw a film together. So instead of spending our hard-earned money on Black Friday, we decided to have dinner. We decided to go see a movie together. And so we have a review for that movie. But first, before we saw the movie, there was a short. Always with these Disney films, whether it's Pixar or Disney, there always is a short. And the short that played before this that we'll talk about, before we talk about the movie that we really saw, was called Olaf's Frozen Adventure. Now, I am somebody that despises Frozen and thinks it's one of the worst and most overrated. It's not a bad film, I would say, because the animation's great, but I think it's overrated and one of the worst Disney animated films, and of course it's become so successful, and I'm just a complete idiot. So I remember, if you remember, Mom, since we did sit together watch this movie in a crowded theater, what did I say before the short really started? What did I say?
That your favorite character?
No. What did I say that you were like, Chad, don't say that? Do you remember what I said?
No, I don't.
I said Frozen sucks really loud. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Which is probably really rude.
No one said. I don't think you said it that way.
I just go, Frozen sucks. I did that. And so I sat there with preconceived notions about what I was going to witness, because I know there's been another short about Frozen, and I will admit, even though I don't like Frozen at all, Olaf is a really great character and is the best character of that awful film that came out in 2013. So we watched Olaf's Frozen Adventure. Mom, what did you think of Olaf's Frozen Adventure?
I loved it.
You loved it. And how do you feel about Frozen, though?
Well, it was okay. I didn't hate it like you did. But,
yeah, you enjoyed it. It's okay. Everybody loves this movie.
Olaf was one of my favorite characters in it.
And why did you like the short Olaf's Amazing Frozen Christmas? Or Adventure?
Because Olaf was the main character, and he looked for the beautiful things and traditions of Christmas, and I thought it was great. And
Judaism, and probably some other traditions.
Different traditions of everybody in that town, and it was excellent. He's an excellent character.
Yeah,
and
Josh Gad is pretty good.
Josh Gad did a terrific job, and he actually can sing. It reminded me a little of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, because he played the character in Beauty and the Beast.
I could hear his voice, but Olaf is one of my favorite characters.
Recent memories.
Right.
If you were a kid, you probably would have had Olaf pillow or something.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked him.
Yes.
With the little carrot in his nose.
Yeah, the little carrot. You can take out the carrot.
For his nose.
Carrot. Yeah. So again, I had preconceived notions because I'm very biased when it comes to Frozen and how much I don't like the movie at all. And I walked in there going, okay, all right, so having these typical stupid songs, and then when it gets to the Olaf actual adventure, and I will admit, I forgot to preface this review. This is going to be a spoiler review for the short and also for the film that we're about to talk about as well, that we saw after the short. Once Olaf goes on the adventure and he's singing this happy song with all these different traditions and figuring out, because what happens in the short is the two sisters, the Queen sisters, they don't have a tradition. And so Olaf goes on this adventure, and the movie is 21 minutes long. It's a really long short. And so short. I didn't expect that. I did feel the length, especially in the beginning. But once it gets to Olaf, and he's singing this happy song and going around these shorts, and then he gets in the predicament where he gets in some danger, and the girls come together. Again, spoilers, the girls come together, and they find out what his tradition is. What their tradition, I should say, it is. And their tradition turns out to be Olaf. Tears. I have to say, I had to wipe away tears. I couldn't believe it. I'm like watching these characters that I don't really like, that I don't think are strong representation of Disney princesses, the princesses I really like. And not saying that this changed my mind about Frozen, but in that moment, I just loved this relationship between these two sisters, and what brought them together was this goofy snowman. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so touching. Oh, I'm crying at something Frozen. This is so pathetic, Chatty man, Chad. I'm crying at Frozen. I don't know why, but it's so touching. And so I really liked that aspect, and I was like, you know what? As someone who despises Frozen, this short was sweet and enjoyable. So I would love more shorts, but they have to include all the characters, especially Olaf, for me to care about, because I think Olaf is the goofiest, the funnest, and the strongest character in that entire piece of work from Disney.
Agreed.
So there you go. All right, so that is our quickly review of Olaf's Amazing Christmas Adventure, Hanukkah. I love how like the song incorporates all these like little traditions in this. It's a great song. The fruitcake. The fruitcake was a highlight. I'm not going to spoil what happens to the fruitcake. I would suggest. I spoiled everything, so what the heck. Anyways, okay, I'm not going to talk more about Olaf anymore. We're done. We're going to move on to now Coco, which is the latest film, of course, from Pixar. Now, Pixar already had a film this year called Cars 3, which I did like. Did you see Cars 3, Mom?
No.
Did you see Cars, though? Then you're fine.
One.
Then you're fine. You don't have to really see the rest of them because they're just cash grabs. But Cars 3 was improvement over Cars 2. Okay, so very excited. Sometimes I just don't care what Pixar is going to make a movie about. I don't know much about Day of the Dead, even though I do love from 2014's The Book of Life. If you haven't seen The Book of Life, this is a great animated film about the Day of the Dead. So Coco, of course, is a story of a family that has been split apart because of music. And young Miguel is our main character, and he goes on this adventure to hopefully try and bring his family together. Again, this is going to be a spoiler review of the film. Bring his family together again. He has to travel through the real world and then this fantasy world, and then hopefully come out on top, bringing his family together again. And I was very excited to see it. I've been wanting to see it, and I need something to wipe away my memory of Justice League that I saw yesterday, so I called up my mom. We went and saw the film, of course. And did you have any expectations before seeing Coco tonight?
No, but I did ask to see my grandson Eli.
Oh.
Saw it and he liked it. That's all I knew about it. I knew a little bit about it, that it had to do with family.
Yeah, because I'm watching the movie, and I can't help but see Eli and our other nephews that I have that are half white and half Hispanic. And so you see Miguel, and you're like, I see Michael, I see Eli, I see Bryce, and
I
so
saw my neighbor, who's
you saw your neighbor, Hispanic neighbor,
and some of the women.
And so it was very touching, at the beginning, when they're kind of getting you into the story, and you find out that this family's been split up because of music, and the father had left, and so you're like, wow, this is a great introduction to what's building up to the characters. And then we see this kid named Miguel, and we find out his great-grandmother is called Coco. That's why the movie's called Coco, is because his great-grandmother is called Coco, and his great-grandmother's father is the one that left. Mm-hmm. She's the one that her father left. Mm-hmm. So she's gotten really old, and I see that grandma, and I see my grandma. I mean, the movie is, of course, about Hispanic culture and Hispanic characters, but the film is definitely universal. It's for everyone that has family, and we all have family. So we all come to this world with a family, whether we like it or not. So I saw the older lady Coco, and I was just thinking of my own grandma, that thankfully is still alive, but is definitely withering away. And it touched my heart. That whole relationship in the beginning, and then you're trying to figure out how is Miguel connected to this main character, this very famous singer. And so all that was building up, and we get to the world and stuff like that. But before I spoil more of the movie and tell my opinion, Mom, how did you feel about Coco?
Oh, I definitely loved it. I love the parts about family and how and ancestry, and how he wanted to, how important the family was, and going back in history to his family to see what happened and kind of why they didn't like music anymore. That was fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's just an interesting thing how it kind of even wraps itself at the end, because for me, the movie, like the first part of the movie leading up to him going into the world was just like a perfect short film. And as we're getting to know new characters, spoilers everyone, that end up becoming even closer to the main character, and we find out who these other characters are, and that they're not really who they say they are, or who we expected them to be, or what the main characters expected them to be. I remember enjoying that first half of the movie, and then we kind of get into this adventure where where Miguel is looking for his supposed father, who he thinks, this main guy played by Benjamin Bratt, really great actor who plays the famous singer, that he thinks is his father. And the movie kind of Yeah, the great his plays his great grandfather. Just two greats. Thanks, Mom. And so with that happening, the movie kind of got rid of its emotional side and went on this kind of adventure, and it's fun and all the great colors, and we're meeting all these family members and trying to figure out the logistics of this world and how this world works, and some of it makes sense and some of it doesn't, and it's fun and it's exciting and it's funny. And then of course Miguel meets this guy who's trying to get into the world, and we find out later that, spoilers, this guy is really his father. Is really his great grandfather, and not the other guy, not the Benjamin Bratt. Now, the great-great-grandfather is played by an actor named Gael Garcia Bernal, really fabulous actor, and I was shocked to see that at the end of the credits. Not that he's a great actor, just that he lended his voice to the film. And to find out that he's truly the great-great-grandfather, and it's not this guy that has been built up. Miguel, yeah, we're all spoilers. So Miguel has looked up this famous musician that he thinks was his great-great-grandfather as his hero, as this person that he should worship, when instead he is looking up to a flawed individual. Of course, his great-great-grandfather is not perfect either, but what this guy does, this supposed famous guy, it turns out he's a murderer, that he actually killed Miguel's great-great-grandfather. And I appreciate how dark it got in that moment. You're like rooting for these characters, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And then you find out, I'm rooting for a bad guy, and how are they going to work this out? And then they seem to find that emotional core again, for me, when they introduce the fact that that's not really his great-great-grandfather, that his great-great-grandfather is the guy that he's been traveling this whole time with, has been trying to get in, and how it all touched together, and how it all touched together with Coco, and then it's like the true core of the movie just kicks into high gear, and you're like, this guy, his whole journey is to be remembered, this guy that's been murdered, to be remembered, and through his great-great-grandchild, he's going to connect him again with Coco, the main who's not, it's like a supporting character, his daughter. I mean, it's just, it gets a little complicated, but it does make sense. I'm not explaining it perfectly, but it does make perfect movie sense.
Yeah.
And that's when the movie comes into full circle, and it comes together, and it's so beautiful, it's gorgeous, and tears running down. I had to control myself, or I would have come like a whiny little baby. I would have just cried like a whiny little baby because it was just so emotional, and I was so shocked because I felt like halfway through the movie, I know where this movie is going to go, though it's still Pixar, it's still beautiful. There's images in this film that are almost photorealistic. They're just beautiful colors all around. The characters are interesting, every one of them. Mm-hmm. The voice work is great. I absolutely love this film. But for a while, I was back and forth how I felt about it. I was like, this is a great Pixar movie. It may not be one of the best, but how it rounds up in the end of the film when we get to see Miguel go on this journey and help his family come closer together and realize it's more important, whatever your differences are in family, it is more important to stick together no matter what, whatever differences you have. Those differences don't have to change, but you come together, you forgive, you enlighten each other, and you come together no matter what, and that's what's more important than hero worshiping. I think the main message of this movie is not preachy. It's not preachy. It's not a preachy message. It's just a message like come together as a family, and you can admire the people that are famous and that you look up to sometimes, and you admire them for their talents, but in the end they are flawed individuals, and we should not be worshiping these people. I don't think we should be I don't worship you, Mother, but I look up to you. I admire you. You are a true hero to me. But it's these people that I think what the movie is trying to say is family is important, and everything else in the end shouldn't be worshipped or shouldn't matter that much as the people that are around you and love you. I think that's the ultimate message of the film, that family is important and hero worshiping is not. Because you never know if your heroes, you're going to find out later in life that your heroes are not perfect. So this movie is very timely too. And I don't know if Disney was planning on that. I didn't know Disney was planning on that. This movie is very timely, what's going on in the world, especially in the entertainment world. But anyways, the movie was fabulous. I love Coco. I think it's one of Pixar's, Disney's finest films. So much real watchability to it. And I've seen a few animated films this year, and it's been a crappy year when it comes to animation. I've seen only a couple good ones, and Pixar's Coco clearly is the best. And even though the Oscars don't matter, awards don't matter, I still hope that Coco will take home Oscar gold. All right, Mom, quickly say a few more thoughts, and then we will call it a night.
It's hard because you get emotional, like you said.
Yeah.
But it was moving. It was about family and how important your ancestors did things, not perfect, but they were there for you, and it's like they're intertwined in your life, and that history is important to me, and I do a lot of family search, and I love the historical parts of my ancestry, and it really was really touching to me, and it brought back a lot of memories that are hard, but I just thought it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, and I appreciate the fact that they made a movie such as this, because I hope it will bring people together, and it was just so amazing, and I was so emotionally touched. So I appreciate that Chad called me, and I was able to go see it, and I really loved it.
I think that's a great way to end this review. Yeah, one of the best films of the year. Give me a hug, Mom. Love you.
Love you too.
One of the best films of 2017, and I think this is going to be a great crowd pleaser. Family should go see this film. It is rated PG, but just for some thematic elements that
Yeah.
I do appreciate were in there, because I like my nice, lovely films mixed with a little bit of darkness, and so to rise up from that darkness into the light. And I think this movie resonates, even though it's about Hispanic culture and Day of the Dead and all that stuff, but the story is definitely universal and can appeal to anybody with a heart. And Disney and Pixar, damn you, you have won me again when it comes to these movies that you make. I fall in love all over again with film after watching a film like this. Well, I want to thank my mom for being a part of this review, and I really appreciate it. It's made my job a lot easier. And in the comment box below, let us know if you've seen Coco. Leave down your comments, and we'd really appreciate and want to hear your opinion, whether you like the movie or not. That's what it's about, hearing what you have to say. All right, everyone, live film. Have a great rest of your year. If we don't see you before Christmas, have a great Christmas or Hanukkah, holidays, and a Happy New Year. Goodbye. Wave goodbye, Mother. Bye. Chatty man, chatty mom, out.